Welcome. My name is Anya Homczyk, and today's interview is going to be in English because we're in the beautiful Italian countryside among vineyards, and also I've got a very special host, Anastazją Armanovą. Hello.
Hi, thank you very much for this beautiful interview, the dialogue, the conversation we're going to have. It's exciting.
Yes, Anastasia, your life story is far from average. Would you tell us something about you?
Well, hello, my name is Anastazją Armanovą. It's definitely not average, but I always say I'm an average girl from a small town in the middle of Russia. I've been living in the United States for 16 years, more of my adult life. I would say it was happening with the influence of American culture, American mentality, and it's just behind the scenes. We're in a beautiful location in the vineyards, in the wine, whatever, in the grape garden.
And they're ripening, right?
They're ripening. Yeah. Where can I start? I'm a Kundalini master. I work with energy transmission. I travel the world. I am based in New York City. Right now, I've conducted the training for the facilitators of activating Kundalini energy by purity sensation method. And thank you for being one of the students who came to receive that beautiful modality.
So, what's your life story? How did you come to be a Kundalini teacher, master, or, transmission vessel?
I would say that I always, since a childhood, I always felt there is something in me that is moving me, guiding me, some awareness that I was feeling I'm different. Not that I'm better or worse, but I was feeling very aware of others, of myself, that I'm not from here. And that curiosity, I would say, led me to America, led me to my teachers, and kind of influenced my path with this curiosity, with this guidance, to acquire the wisdom, acquire the trainings, and once of a sudden come to my teacher who had trained me and initiated me to this beautiful modality, and I work now with that energy. I mean, I can talk about the energy all the time, and people on another end, they might not even know what's that work about.
And in the yoga scriptures, we read that the rising of the Kundalini comes either with Guru's grace, like spiritual teacher's grace, or through some really strict, very often lifetime long yoga practice, not necessarily like physical asana hatha yoga practice.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you teach that Kundalini can be activated like that. How come?
Instant. Yes, the time has accelerated. Everything is so much faster now. If in ancient times people were going through years of the practice, even the Kundalini yoga, meditation, they could have been doing years of devoted, serious asanas, asceticism, and devoting themselves to searching for that mystical experience, and it took time. Nowadays, there is an available instrument that can do an instant transmission and activation of that energy. But of course, there is not a guarantee that everyone's Kundalini will be rising and going. It depends on each person who is receiving that energy. It depends on their vessel, consciousness, sensitivity, how open they are, how trustworthy, how trusting they are. Do they have a lot of controlling issues, or they're really open-minded and open-hearted?
And who comes to your classes?
I would say when I just started, it was interesting. I was envisioning how it will be a lot of women, and I will be facilitating the energy work, awakening the goddesses, awakening the beautiful feminine energy. But once upon a time, I was conducting a private session for one participant that happened to be a guy, a man. And that person was going through such intense experience of releasing the trauma, It was fascinating for me. As if I remember it right, as if it was just now. He was going through such a primal release expression of anger and pain and frustration. It was so intense that at that moment I understood I will not work only with women. I was ordained and honored to facilitate that for men as well. And from that it started to, I sometimes hold classes just for women, sometimes just for men, and I like to mix. The energy is calling. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender, what body you chose. The energy it's genderless. It calls you.
And what happens at your class during the activation?
Depends on the person. There is no one way how people experience that. You see all these beautiful videos how people go into the emotional dancing, into mudras, shaking, crying, laughing,
Yes, like...
all kinds of experiences. Yes. Depending on the vessel, when they receive, if they are open to that amount of the allowance of that energy, it will be that gentle. If they open to 100%, it will do miracles to the body. And the purpose of that work is to liberate yourself from all this paradigm, old traumas, conditioning, all of the things that are limiting ourselves, to break free, to get into the alignment of who we are on a higher aspect, not just who we are, to realize ourselves through all these roles of being a mother, being a daughter, a wife, but through what's your purpose, what's your joy, what excites you, what brings you that beautiful energy to keep going, what's guiding you to come back to that origin, original destiny and calling. That's a wake-up call.
All right, but on the practical level, what happens once your Kundalini is activated?
Again, depends on people. I would say during 5 years of the working with that energy, and I worked on thousands of people all over the world, I would say online, because it's like people from Middle East and Asia and Latin America and Europe and Russia and all the continents joining at the same space, quantum space, and receiving the activation. So I would say half of the people in my competence and my expertise, with my observing, half of the people are still going through releasing all of these things that are not in alignment. And another half are already so worked on themselves, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, they're so ready for that divine grace to come through and go into the potential.
And what's in the potential? Like, everybody wants to like live their life, let's say, to the fullest, or live their full potential. But then we're kind of so scared of this potential because it's just like so much far and so much more than we think we are.
Definitely. It's activating and releasing all of the codes in the DNA that can get us to the super consciousness, to the superhuman, to all these powerful extrasensoric abilities that are CDs. We grow, we evolve, and of course not all the people are going there at the same pace. Everyone is different. The pace, the intensity, the karmic lessons, their learnings, they're integrating the processes. It's different. And I see a lot of people, especially women, that are coming to the class and they are still scared of their potential. They want to dip their toes, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm not ready. And it's complete trusting themselves and their psyche. When they're ready, it would get them through lows to go to the highest highs. Karmic lessons would appear out of a sudden so fast. You can burn karma during the class, during the activation, literally. With some people, it's much faster. And with some people, it will manifest through relationships, life, work, anything that will be externally showing you if you learned that, if you didn't learn that, or it will repeat itself. So a lot of people who are coming to classes, they kind of like go and to their lives and get a little bit disappointed, that they get into the apathy and depression. But depression after that is a greatest gift as well. It's a pause to integrate, to see where you are not in alignment with who you were, because in activation they come, some of them get to meet themselves for the first time. You know, they can be 60 years old, they can be 20 years old. And all of these identities, all of these boxes, information that form the identity, they suddenly liberate and see the fully who they are. And in that majesty, in that grace, in that love. And then after the class, they go home and they put themselves in that boxes again. And they're like having a huge gap between who they are and who they represent themselves in this realm. And it takes time to integrate. That's why sometimes there are days and weeks and months for some, like a dark night of the soul, the most important phase of the spiritual awakening. There is no spiritual evolution without those days.
In many spiritual schools, traditions, or lineages, especially like Far Eastern, maybe a little bit like patriarchal, like women are kind of, even though they're not nuns, they're kind of cut off from their femininity. Like jewelry is a big no-no, being sensual is a big no-no, because you have to just meditate and, you know, I don't know, deal with your desires and basically work with your mind. However, the women that come to your class, the ones that I've met, and of course including you, they're just so super feminine. It's like, wow, how come?
Yes, I understand what you mean. It's interesting. When I was conducting one of the trainings in Moscow last year, we were renting one studio space that studio has a community. They organize trips to go to India, and I see the influence. I actually was married to a spiritual teacher, guru, who is based on that traditions, Indian traditions, devotional, selfless guru, like worshipping. And what I've seen in that studio, it was amazing to me to see those women having lack of that feminine, vibrant
Spark.
energy, that spark, exactly. And when I had my apprentices, they were all having jewelries, having
makeup,
all of that things, makeup, like it's not that they needed that to be beautiful. It was like kind of continuation of their expression in that realm. So it was an interesting contrast to see how in Indian method, culture, philosophy, it's devotional to something else, beside, not to you, almost selflessly trusting that there is a guru who knows better, etc. And of course, there are some beautiful integrated teachers, masters, guru who reached that enlightenment, and you can receive the divine grace in their presence. But most of the people that I've met in that world, corrupted, not integrated, not congruent. They can have a beautiful seed here, they can have beautiful energy work, healing, but on a human level, they are far catching up to that level. And it's sad to see, but it's happening in the world. When we are right now in the age of the Aquarian, the age of the Shakti, all of the Shaktis, all of the women coming back into that alignment to bring that divine grace, to bring that beauty, the harmony through them. And I would say I'm ordained to wake women who is on my path, who is called to come work with me. It's like, hey, wake up, come, bring that in, bring that up, that energy, that sexuality, that sensuality, that has nothing to do with our physical body, like, the intercourse, beaming, screaming that. It's not a vulgar energy. It's very silent. It's loud, but not in the sound. It's silently affecting, bringing that harmony to the world.
So what's the 21st century Shakti living in the West? Well, the West has become a big part of the world right now. It doesn't have to be like physically the West, but like a woman living, I don't know, having a job, living in a city, and still like,
I would say it's integrating both sides, the spirituality and the material world. As one of the teachers always said, if you have just spiritual life, right, all this devotional, all this energy work, you are not having both wings of the plane. You need two wings. That embodiment, you can go to the highest highs, feeling the divine grace and absolute love, but you need to integrate this into this life. Otherwise, you go to the class, you wearing white, beautiful, amazing, noble saint, and then you go home and you can do whatever you want to do. No, it's the integration and attaining that consciousness, awareness, and bring that awareness to each part, integrating all the darkness sides of yourself, but taking to another octave, right? It's that duality, the plus, the minus, the positive, the negative, the good and bad. There is no good and bad. It's just accepting how you are and taking it to another level, to the depth, to the highs, to the expansion, contraction, all that is, you integrate that.
it's gonna be like so beautiful to see like women empowered by Shakti, but not like aggressively fighting for something, but like, you know, just being the embodiment of this kind of beauty, energy, love, and life as well.
Absolutely, the embodiment of that Shakti, the true embodiment, because everybody is Shakti, everybody wants to like the master all of these statuses, but the true Shakti doesn't explain, doesn't make points to prove herself. She doesn't need to justify herself. It's the pure love. Love is love. It doesn't need to fight for love, right? And when the Shakti goes into the little bit of Kali, it's also a glimpse of that Kali to have life experiences and to integrate them, but not to go fully in that Kali destroyer mode, because then it goes into the masculine side. And we both have both genders, right? And everybody has both energies. All genders, whatever they are, have both energies, yin and yang. And when we have the balanced energies in the vessel, it would be a paradise on earth. If everyone on the planet Earth has it, it would be a different world.
Oh, definitely we're in paradise right now.
Italia.
It's beautiful, Italia. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you so much for giving me that opportunity. We're going to have it in Polish, in English, and in Russian. And I'm looking forward to come to Poland. My first time was there in 2019. It was amazing how Polish people were so hospitable. And I felt like I'm coming to my family. I was met and greeted very, very nicely. Thank you, Anya.
Yeah, with gratitude. Thank you, everybody. Ciao, Italia.
Ciao, Italia.